In a tense classroom at Shenzhen High School No. 2, a chalkboard announced there was only 1 day left until the unified exam. The teacher, Chen Fan, was giving the final instructions, telling the students they would be taking the liberal arts exam. He also warned them about the deadly risk of the martial arts entrance exam, firmly advising any student with a power level below D not to even show up. Sitting at his desk, a student named Sujin Min smirked, feeling like the teacher's warning was aimed right at him. He thought to himself that he had transmigrated into this world called Blue Star, which was tech-wise similar to his old world. But it was also home to savage, bloodthirsty beasts. To fight them, some humans had awakened superpowers. People could unlock different skills at 16, ranked from F to S tier. However, most only unlocked powers between F and D levels. As he analyzed his own strength, a faint spark of lightning appeared, revealing his ability was a weak grade E electricity. He looked on disappointed, realizing his power was barely stronger than a regular stun baton. As he reflected, a blonde classmate, Huan Tian, slammed his desk and mockingly asked if he still planned to take the martial arts exam, calling him a grade E trash who'd only embarrass the school. Huan Tian suggested Sujin Min should just pick liberal arts and offered him a future as an office worker at his company. Before Sujin could respond, a classmate, Lin Xingli, stood up and told Huan Tian to mind his own business. Annoyed, Huan Tian mocked her and promised to prove who was best during the exam. As he walked away, he threw a cruel look back and added a savage comment predicting Sujin would die in the testing grounds. After Huan Tian left, Lin Xingli looked at Sujin Min with concern, advising him to ignore those words and suggesting switching to liberal arts might not be a bad call. Sujin Min listened silently, his face unreadable, lost in thought. He stared at his unified exam registration form for Grancia. His elemental ability was listed as level E, and Grancia education was split into liberal arts and martial arts. Those with low-level powers could choose liberal arts and live a normal life. The martial arts path was way more dangerous. Students had to enter a designated area and fight to the death against ferocious beasts to pass. Only survivors could hope to enter, a university for skill users. There, with years of training, even a no-rank person could become a true expert. Sujin understood why his teacher and Lin Xingli were worried. They feared what might happen if he took the exam. Still, he knew he couldn't run from the constant threat of the beasts. That thought triggered a painful memory. As a kid, he had knelt crying in front of his parents' lifeless bodies, victims of one of those creatures. That image strengthened his resolve. He didn't want to be weak again. Determined, he grabbed his registration form and firmly declared he would still take the martial arts exam. At sunset, Sujin Min was in a training room practicing non-stop with a long spear, analyzing his electric skill in the weapon, making blue lightning crackle along its surface. With a shout, he delivered a powerful strike. The intense training soon left him drained. He yawned hard, complaining about the exhaustion, and collapsed to the floor, dropping the spear beside him. Lying down, he thought about his prep. He'd been practicing spear for 2.5 years. Despite his efforts, his mastery was still beginner level. He had bought a technique called Electric Gale Breaker for 300,000, which he believed made him a bit stronger than other common awakened grade E users. While lying there, a dark thought crossed his mind. A bit stronger than other common awakened Class E. While lying down, a dark thought crossed his mind. He knew the death rate of students below Class D in the exam increased every year. That fear strengthened his decision. If he wanted to get into an awakened university, he had to be ready to fight with everything he had. He forced himself to get up and approached a machine, clenching his fist when his hand got close to the panel. Suddenly, a blue holographic interface appeared showing system activating. Sujin Min's eyes widened in surprise. As he tried to figure out what was happening, the activation finished, and a new message appeared, asking if he wanted to claim the beginner's gift package. Still on the floor, he realized this could be the legendary transmigrator trap system. His surprise turned into hype, a wide grin spreading across his face. Wondering what the package held, the system immediately revealed the contents: a rank S super skill and 200 skill points. For a moment, he was speechless. A rank S skill was insanely rare. In a major country like France, someone with that power would be recruited ASAP by top universities and trained to become a powerhouse. Sujin Min was shook by his insane luck. The reveal filled him with hope. He understood that even though he was born as trash rank E, this system gave him a shot to flip his fate. With a determined smile, he reached out his hand, crackling with his old weak electricity, and said, "Claim," accepting the gift without hesitation. Instantly, 3 system windows popped up. Beginner package claimed 200 skill points credited, and the system started distributing his new rank S super skill, Purple Cloud Thunder God's Lightning. The power surged straight into his heart. The process was insanely painful. Massive energy burst from inside him as violent purple lightning coursed through his body, tearing his shirt apart. A progress bar appeared, slowly filling up, while the energy exploded outward, wrecking the room's interior. The blast was so strong it shattered the apartment window. The commotion caught attention on the street. A woman pointed up, noticing the strange energy, and her son asked what was going on. A desperate young man grabbed his phone and called the fire department. Inside, Sujin Min writhed in pain as the integration passed 50%. Outside, People stared at the sky, turning dark and ominous. Above the apartment, a colossal dragon made of blue lightning appeared in the air. The event attracted powerful individuals. A man in a skyscraper wondered if a beast had invaded somewhere else. A military commander ordered the 3rd Legion of Hyanshin to go on full alert. Back in the apartment, the lightning dragon spun in the sky before descending, channeling its massive energy into Sujin Min's body. He let out one last scream as the system progress bar hit 100%. The light and pain vanished, replaced by a simple message, skill transformation complete. The overwhelming energy faded, leaving Sujin Min in his wrecked training room. He slowly clenched his fist, feeling the insane power he now possessed. Powerful blue and purple electric sparks crackled around his hand. A confident smile spread across his face. He knew this rank S skill was on a whole different level. He thought his old skill was like an electric club, but this new power felt strong enough to wreck someone with one hit. His hype died down, seeing the destruction. The windows were shattered and the walls cracked. He figured the ruckus was way too loud and felt relieved he managed to control some of the energy. Then he remembered the other part of his reward, 200 skill points. He wondered out loud what they were for as he touched the system interface. The system explained skill points are earned by killing fierce beasts and can be used to level up and boost skills. A mischievous grin returned to his face as he expressed joy over the simple trap system and ordered the system panel to open. A detailed status screen appeared, showing his new profile name level as Awakened with no rank, his new rank S skill, Purple Heaven's Divine Lightning, and 200 available skill points. With the unified exam just one day away, Sujin Min's eyes gleamed. He knew he had to use those 200 points wisely to max out his combat power. Lightning crackled around his hand as he told the system to assign. Sugimin decides to use the points logically, reasoning that all skills come from the human body and spirit, so he chooses to strengthen these 2 attributes first while the system processes the points. His physical and spirit stats rapidly increase. A wave of dark purple energy bursts and swirls around him. He looks slightly dazed, amazed by the feeling that his life energy and thoughts have been boosted. Clenching his fist, he feels the new power inside him, throws a test punch, and a vortex of blue and purple lightning explodes from his fist. A power display way stronger than before, he looks at his hand surrounded by crackling energy. He realizes that by boosting his basic stats, his control over his combat skills and powers will also get stronger. The system panel confirms the upgrade, showing his physical stat is now 141 and his spirit 160. It explains that each skill point equals 0.2 units of life energy or spiritual energy. A confident smile spreads across his face. He thinks with his current strength, getting into a university for Awakened will be easy. But he wonders how he stacks up against the other 700,000 candidates in the province, especially the geniuses trained since childhood. Determined to find out, he lifts his spear from the rubble, catching it and slinging it over his shoulder. He decides to hit the martial arts gym to test his new power levels as he gets ready to leave. Suddenly, the door to his apartment is kicked down. A team of 3 firefighters bursts in, ready to fight a fire, leaving Sugimin shocked. The fire chief, confused by the lack of flames, explains they got a call about a fire at this place. Standing in the wrecked room, Sugimin calmly explains the commotion was caused by his skill training, and everything's fine now. The fire chief accepts the explanation, knowing incidents with awakened individuals are common, and radios his team to stand down. As he leaves, he looks at Sugimin with admiration, thinking how formidable the younger generation is, just causing that much chaos from practicing alone shortly after the fire truck drives away. Now in his school uniform and carrying his spear, Sugimin walks down the street. A neighbor he calls Uncle Yang asks if he's okay after the supposed fire. Sugimin reassures him everything's under control. Noticing the spear, the neighbor praises him for being so dedicated. Practicing even with the exam the next day. Martial arts gyms are important in this world for leveling up. An awakened must train their body and spirit. Gyms offer essential training spots since not all families can afford private rooms. The 2 most famous gym chains are Thunder and Brutal Bear. Sugimin arrives at the Thunder Martial Arts Gym. The Brutal Bear Gym is pricey mainly for rich students, while the Thunder Gym is free for all high schoolers, making it super popular. Inside the busy gym, Sugimin spots a familiar face in a group of students. The girl with long black hair and red eyes is Tanki, his cousin. He approaches her and asks why she's at the Thunder Gym. Surprised to see him, Tanki says she just came with a friend. Sugimin politely apologizes, telling Tanki and her friends to continue their visit while he heads to the training room. As he walks away, Tanki watches him, thinking he looks a little different. Her cheerful friend, Xiao Yao, is immediately captivated by Sugimin's look, calls him handsome, and asks Tanki who he is. Tanki explains he's her cousin, also a third-year student who'll take the martial arts exam tomorrow. Xiao Yao sighs, saying he'd make a great boyfriend. A guy friend teases her for falling in love, and she admits it excitedly. Hearing this, Tanki brings her back down to earth, revealing Sugimin's awakened skill is only rank E. The news shatters Xiao Yao's fantasy, who exclaims it's a shame. The guy friend smirks disdainfully, commenting it's impressive. Someone with a rank E skill dares to take the martial arts exam. Hearing this, Tan-ki decides to bring her back to reality, revealing that Sujin Min's awakened skill is only rank S. The news shatters Xiaola's fantasy, who exclaims it's a shame. The male friend smirks with disdain, commenting that it's commendable that someone with a rank E skill dares to take the martial arts exam. However, the tank looks worried, saying that courage means nothing when the risk is so high. Changing the subject, he reminds the group they came to visit the Seao Hall, and Ya nods, mentioning that he spent all of high school in the expensive Seao Hall Savage, and suggests that chilling before the big exam is a good idea. Meanwhile, Sujin Min finds an empty training room, stands in front of a huge round target with his spear holding it. He notices it feels way lighter, realizes the spear hasn't changed, but his own body got way stronger. Thinks that old weapon might not cut it anymore, but with the exam tomorrow, there's no time to get a new one, so he decides to test his max physical strength without using his lightning skill first. Takes a deep breath, tightens his grip, and throws the spear forward. The weapon hits the center of the target with insane force. The impact leaves a web of cracks on the advanced training target. A digital screen above it shows the number 321. The room's gear is made from special memory metal that lets it self-repair automatically. Sujin Min is stunned. His pure physical strength has doubled. He knows the max strength of a normal awakened without rank is only about 100 cal, making his base strength straight up exceptional. Satisfied, he decides to test his new rank S skill. His eyes glow blue as he gets ready to channel the divine lightning from the sky. Purple arcs of purple and blue lightning crackle around his body with a powerful leap. He slams his spear down on the target, creating a massive explosion of electric energy. He looks up at the new reading, an insane 3021 cal. Sujin Min is hyped about how powerful his rank S skill is. The standard for a first-level awakened is just 1000 cal. The fact that he's still unrated can unleash an attack comparable to a first-level awakened. Half shows his new potential, but he's not done with the lightning still crackling around him. He declares that's not his limit. He decides to use his real lethal move, a technique that combines his boosted strength. His skill and combat prowess in one hit channels all his energy into the spear, which gets covered in intense purple lightning. Swings the spear in a wide arc as the spear tip nears the target. Electricity condenses into a bright sphere of power. With a loud battle cry, he unleashes the attack. The spear strikes, causing a massive explosion of purple energy that completely engulfs the target. The attack's force sends a shockwave through the entire martial arts hall in the main stadium. The students shudder, and one yells, asking if that was an earthquake on the training floor. Tanuki Xiaoyao and his friends lose their balance. The male friend recognizes the powerful energy fluctuations, saying they're at the level of a true awakened. They wonder if a new awakened level student has appeared, since all the known ones train in the other room, driven by curiosity. Tanuki says they should go check it out. The group follows the energy trail down the hallway. Turning a corner, they come face to face with Sujin Min, leaving the area. With the tip of his spear now wrapped in cloth, Tanuki calls out, surprised to see him there. Sujin Min calmly replies that he's heading home to prep for the exam, showing no sign of the power he just used. His friend wishes him luck, but dismissively tells the group to forget about him, pointing to the training room Sujin Min just left, assuring the energy came from there. The group approaches the door. Peeking inside, they see a scene of total devastation. The advanced memory metal target has been completely destroyed, and the reinforced wall behind it is now a huge crater filled with rubble. The whole room is a disaster. Tanuki Xiaoyao and the others just stand there, completely stunned, unable to grasp the level of destructive power that was just unleashed. In a high school training room watching the destruction, Xiao yells that even the advanced memory metal was pierced, which would require an insanely intense attack. Wonders if there really is a high school student in their city, Yang Chung, capable of that kind of power. The brown-haired friend dismisses the idea, touching the crater's edge. Says the residual energy feels way too violent for a student. Theorizes it was a powerful second-order user who accidentally entered the student floor. Another friend agrees, adding that not even a genius from the provincial capital could pull off something like that, let alone someone from his small town. Whether or not, however, he proposes a different theory, pointing out that the only person seen nearby was his Jimin, who excitedly suggests he might be a hidden super genius. His friends roast the idea, asking if he's been reading too many novels. Another reminds him that his Jimin is known for having just a Class E skill, barely able to hit an attack power of 300. His buddy offers a more logical explanation, suggesting the powerful user just went down the other hallway, then turns to Tank, who's been quiet and asks for his opinion. Tank just replies, maybe stepping forward to check the damage. Running his hand over the smashed wall, he notices the impact marks look like they were made by a long spear. The image of his cousin with a spear flashes in his mind. A deep suspicion rises, and he silently wonders if Sujin's lying. Presenting the martial arts exam really means he's overestimating his abilities the next day. The sky's clear and bright. It's martial arts exam day. Dozens of buses roll up to a massive fortified compound. Dropping off students armed with all kinds of weapons. Among them is his Jimin, walking calm and confident, spear on his shoulder. The students gather by a tall fence, eyeing the exam grounds with a mix of awe and fear. One nervously complains, remembering that in past exams, the beasts were way weaker. The consensus is that this year's exam is going to be insanely tough as students share their fears. An arrogant voice cuts through the crowd. A long-haired dude with a huge sword mocks their cowardice, declaring, "Anyone who can't face a unicorn rhino is useless," leaving the others speechless nearby. Sujinmin's best friend Yuya asks who that cocky guy is. Sujinmin IDs him as Sowon-jang. Liu Yi explains Sowon-jang is a known genius with a Class B skill who's already leveled up to a first-order user, something rare for a high schooler. Sujinmin watches him with a confident smile and a competitive spark in his eyes, silently wondering who's stronger. Suddenly, a loud voice grabs the candidate's attention. A stern-looking man with a scar dressed in a military-style uniform introduces himself as Won Hai-yang, the exam's commander, saying before they start. He'll go over the important precautions standing on a military vehicle. Commander Huang Hai-yang announces the exam will last 12 hours, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., pointing to the vast ruined city serving as the exam site. He explains it's divided into 4 zones: outer, central, inner, and core. The students will earn points by killing beasts, with scores increasing based on their rank and strength. The commander's expression turns serious as he gives his final warning, saying the core area is like a bonus question, meant only for the top students. He urges everyone to act according to their skills and not risk their lives foolishly for a higher score. Listening to the commander, Sujinmin reflects on his own abilities. Before his upgrade, he'd be stuck in the outer zone, but now powered up and ambitious, he's determined to push into the inner circle, and even challenged the core area. An announcement calls for students to pick up their exam supplies. Sujinmin and his friend approach their teacher Chen Fan, who hands out tactical backpacks. Sujinmin grabs his, containing a smartwatch to track points, energy bars, a drink, a medkit, and a security orb capable of generating a high-voltage net to repel beasts as he receives the supplies. Teacher Chen Fan gives him one last piece of advice, reminding him his life's more important than anything else, even if using the security orb means ending the exam early. Sujinmin respectfully thanks his teacher just then. A familiar voice calls his name. He turns and sees his teammate Lincoln Lee running up. She kindly offers him to join her team. With her is class president Yukin, a Class C user who says he'll protect Sujinmin during the exam. However, another student steps up, arguing that this exam is serious business, complaining that letting in a rank E student like Sujinmin will wreck their chances of scoring high. Another classmate agrees, angrily accusing Liu King of messing up their plan. Both make it clear they don't want to carry dead weight. The insults fire up Sujinmin's buddy Liu Ye, but Sujinmin calmly stops him with a polite smile, declining the offer. He tells Liu King Lee he appreciates the kindness but plans to go solo. Lincoln Lee, worried, reluctantly accepts his decision and tells him to be careful. The student who complained smirks mockingly and suggests they team up with the big shot Wan Tian. Letting out a sarcastic laugh as they walk off, Sujinmin watches them go with a confident grin, convinced he's more than capable of snagging a high-score solo. An announcement booms, officially kicking off the exam. A fleet of drones lifts into the sky, ready to stream the event live. The massive gates swing open and a wave of students rushes into the ruined city, shouting their targets. Among them are Tan Ki and his crew, a determined girl wielding a huge sword, and the top contender, Su Mingjan, who uses wind powers to surge ahead of the pack. In contrast, Sujinmin stays chill, takes a step, and then starts running at a steady pace, spear in hand, thinking the exam's finally here and he's ready. While running, he taps his smartwatch. A holographic screen confirms his ID and shows real-time rankings. The top 3 spots are already taken, with Song Minjan in first place with 7 points, followed by 2 other students. Sujinmin checks the leaderboard with a confident smile, noticing Zhao Mingyan has already started hunting beasts. But that early lead only fuels his competitive fire. While others fight in the outer zones, Sujin decides on a bolder strategy. He resolves not to waste time and heads straight for the central area, aiming for the highest risk, highest reward core if possible. As he pushes deeper into the ruined city, he suddenly stops. In front of him is a gruesome scene, a lifeless student's body in a pool of blood, a green security orb lying beside him, unused proof of how fast the attack was. Sujinmin shudders at the sight, realizing the student didn't even get a chance to activate his last defense. The brutal reality of the exam hits him hard. Remembering his teachers' and commander's warnings, he thinks if he hadn't gotten his S-class skill the day before, he'd be dead too. With renewed resolve, he accepts the harshness of the test, kneels beside the fallen student, and uses his watch to request the body be retrieved. He reflects that opportunities always come with risks. Suddenly, a nearby noise alerts him. From the shadows of a ruined building, a huge claw appears. Moments later, a fierce shadow cat with glowing purple eyes shows itself. Sujinmin instantly gets it. The beasts left the corpse as bait. It was a trap. The creature lunges at him. Despite the shadow cat's terrifying leap, Sujinmin stays completely calm. The beast roars threateningly, attacking with lightning speed and extended claws. But Sujinmin is even faster. With a smooth, natural move, he dodges the strike, letting the monster pass by. The shadow cat lands nimbly, its purple eyes locked on the prey. Its reputation is well-earned. Agile, body-sharp claws and a bite force over 1,000 kilos make it a true beginner killer. The animal lets out a fierce roar, trying to intimidate him as it faces off. Sujinmin thinks about what makes these creatures so deadly. He knows fierce beasts have a terrifying aura that can paralyze prey with fear. He's heard most awakened fighters freeze up the first time they face one. They become helpless under that pressure, unable to use even 30% of their strength, just waiting to die. The beast lets out a fierce roar, trying to intimidate him as it faces him. Sujin Min reflects on what makes those creatures so dangerous. He knows fierce beasts have a terrifying aura, capable of paralyzing their prey with fear. He's heard that most awakened when facing one of these creatures for the first time become defenseless under that pressure, unable to use even 30% of their strength and just waiting for death. He thinks about how rich families hire bodyguards so their kids get used to that aura from a young age. A privilege he never had, knowing this is his first real fight against a fierce beast. He raises his spear as the shadow cat lunges again. The beast closes the distance immediately with its mouth open, but Sujin Min stays firm. Completely unfazed, purple lightning arcs run along his spear as he channels his power. In one swift move, he thrusts the spear forward, piercing the cat's head and killing it instantly. He looks at the dead animal with a thoughtful expression. He realizes the intimidating aura had no effect on him. A moment later, a blue holographic window pops up from his watch, confirming the kill. Fierce Beast without rank eliminated a Shadow Cat. Skill points +3. Note 1 explains fierce beasts are ranked from 1 to 9. Those below rank 1 are considered unrated, equivalent to awakened humans without rank. Sujimin checks the map on his watch, knowing that killing beasts grants skill points but remains unimpressed by the small reward. Thinking unrated creatures give very few points and realizing the fierce beast's aura doesn't affect him, he concludes. It's pointless to waste time in the outer zone and aims to reach the more dangerous central area ASAP. He starts pushing deeper into the exam field, leaving a bloody trail behind as he effortlessly slaughters shadow cats, iron boars, and wolf-like creatures, earning 3 to 5 skill points each. However, he spots a flaw in his strategy. Although he's racked up points, he admits he lacks real combat experience. His new S-rank skill is so overwhelmingly powerful it kills unrated beasts, instantly stopping him from honing his fighting techniques. He also considers the high energy cost of his new power. He knows higher rank skills consume more energy. Unlike his old E-rank skill, which could last for hours, now he can't keep his S-rank power at full strength for even an hour. With the exam scheduled to last 12 hours, he understands he can't waste energy before reaching the core. So he decides on a new plan: kill beasts using only his spear technique to gain experience and conserve energy. Just as he makes that call, a way bigger threat shows up: a massive bipedal rhino with a unicorn horn. The giant beast roars and charges, smashing a wrecked car aside with insane strength. Instead of backing off, Sujimin plants himself firm and faces the charge. The horn's powerful impact sends him flying backward, but with crazy agility he uses the momentum to spin mid-air, landing right on top of the monster. Before the rhino can react, he dives down, landing on its back and driving his spear deep into its skull with a precise strike. The colossal beast collapses defeated. Breathing calmly, Sujimin realizes how fast he's gotten by killing, noting that even a beast as strong as the rhino wasn't much of a challenge. Then a thought hits him, wondering if his spear technique had leveled up without him even noticing. Immediately, he opens his system panel, confirming his suspicion. His spear mastery had reached the intermediate level, and his skill points had increased to 256. He concludes relying on his technique is the most effective way to boost his power. Feeling how smooth the intermediate technique was, he wonders what would happen if he upgraded it further using his accumulated points. He decides to level up his spear skill again. The effect is instant. A massive wave of advanced knowledge and complex moves floods his mind, imprinting itself into his muscle memory. He grabs his head, amazed by the huge amount of techniques he just acquired. With this wealth of new moves, Sujimin feels a surge of confidence. Clutching his spear, he stands tall amid the ruins with a predator's grin, eager to test his new skills against a first-rank fierce beast. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the outer area, Lin Kingley and her team move through the streets when suddenly Lin Kingley stops, confused. From afar, she thinks she spots a familiar silhouette and says out loud she thought she saw Sujimin. One of her teammates mocks the idea, asking if she's imagining things, and insists it's impossible for someone with an E rank to get that deep into the exam zone. Without dying, Lin Kingley, filled with doubts, couldn't get the feeling out of his mind that he had really seen him. The worry for him started growing inside. His thoughts were interrupted when another group member called them. They ran to him and found him in front of the huge, fresh corpse of a unicorn rhino. The blood from its wounds was still wet, meaning it had been taken down just minutes before. They examined the fatal wound, a clean puncture in the head caused by a long-handled weapon. One of them exclaimed it was a spear wound. In Lin Kingley's mind, the pieces clicked the wound. The timing and the silhouette could only mean one thing. He wondered out loud if it really could have been his Jimin. The skeptical companion laughed with contempt, saying that a unicorn rhino could only be taken down by a rank C awakened. To settle the debate, another suggested checking the score rankings. Without hesitation, Lin Kingley activated the leaderboard on his watch. When the results popped up, his eyes widened in shock. There, at rank 46, 256 points, was his Jimin, a student from Haiyan Cheng's second prep school. He exclaimed, "No cap, that's really him." His teammates were speechless, faces full of disbelief. They couldn't accept that the rank E student they looked down on was now among the top 50. Some speculated it had to be someone with the same name. The confusion left them with no answers, unable to understand the situation. Meanwhile, far from the battlefield, officials and influencers watched the exam on giant screens. One spectator commented on the predictable strength of the first prep school. which dominated the top 10 over 1 spots. He highlighted Zhao Mingyan, who led with 412 points, and seemed sure to claim the title of best student in Haiyancheng. Another official wondered if he could make it into the top 100. In the province, a feat no one from the city had pulled off in years. Among those present was San Wenjian, director of Haiyancheng's Education Bureau. With a satisfied smile, he assured that Su Minjiang was the city's ace and expressed confidence he'd break into the provincial top 100. Then he addressed the directors of the first and third prep schools, praising their institutions. They humbly thanked the director, while he lauded the top schools. Sun Wenjian looked at the second prep school's director, Cao Yao, with a condescending tone, telling him his school needed to step up, pointing out that their best student was only at rank 18. The nervous director sweated as he nodded and accepted the criticism. Inside, Cao Yao was boiling mad. He knew that out of the top 50, only 8 were from his school. Mentally, he ran through the list of his best students, including his Jimin, wishing they'd show better results. Suddenly, he stopped. Jimin's name didn't ring a bell. He wondered out loud who that student was and why he'd never heard of him. He turned to Professor Chen Fan, who was beside him, and asked for info. Hearing that his supposedly weakest student was among the top 50, Chen Fan was stunned. It took him a moment to recover, wiping sweat from his forehead. He recalled Su Jinmin was a rank E awakened, and wondered if the kid had been hiding his true power, but dismissed the idea as impossible. Frustrated, he looked up at the monitors, realizing only the top 10 over 1 had exclusive cameras, so there was no way to know how Su Jinmin was racking up so many points. Meanwhile, on the exam field, Su Jinmin had left the outer area and reached the central zone, a place with way higher danger levels. He walked calmly down the streets, crushing a bottle underfoot, while munching an energy bar. He noticed the number of fierce beasts had dropped. He knew this was because the ranked creatures had intelligence and territorial instincts, making them tougher opponents. Suddenly, his sharp senses picked up something. His eyes narrowed as he murmured that his target had arrived. A moment later, a powerful striped beast emerged from a pile of wrecked cars. It was a first-rank fierce beast, a blade tiger, named for the sword-like sharp bones protruding from its front paws. Su Jinmin stood firm, unfazed, and said, satisfied that he had gotten lucky encountering a creature of that level so soon, with a confident and eager look, raised his spear, declaring this powerful enemy was the perfect test for his newly upgraded skill. The blade tiger let out a fierce roar and lunged with claws ready to strike. Su Jinmin stayed calm and collected, holding his spear in a defensive stance, elegantly twisting to deflect the animal's first leap. Blocking the attack with the shaft of his weapon, the force pushed the beast back slightly, but Su Jin remained unfazed, wearing a confident smirk as he muttered mockingly, "So that's all the power a first-rank creature's got. Thought only a king tiger would make me work harder." His taunt only made the beast angrier, its eyes glowing with a threatening turquoise light. It reared up on its hind legs, towering over Su Jin, and let out a deafening roar as it unleashed its full strength. The blade tiger slammed its massive claws down in a devastating strike, but Su Jinmin, showing insane reflexes, dodged and used the momentum to spin around a nearby post, avoiding the deadly claws and gearing up for a powerful counterattack. He landed gracefully after the acrobatic move, recognizing the tenacity of the first-level beast. He could see that despite its wounds, the blade tiger still desperately wanted to fight, determined to finish the battle. He declared any further resistance was pointless and began channeling his spear technique, Gale Breaker. Electricity crackled as a blue energy vortex swirled around his weapon. With a battle cry, he unleashed the skill. His body became a blur as he executed a devastating spinning attack, the spear's energy generating multiple slashing arcs of light. The strike connected, and the tiger let out one last agonizing roar. As the powerful technique pierced its body, the massive beast collapsed to the ground, defeated. Immediately, a notification popped up on Su Jin's smartwatch confirming the elimination of a first-level armored tiger and awarding him 14 skill points. He noted with satisfaction that first-level beast points were almost double what he got from unranked ones. A new perspective opened up for him. While others saw the exam hall as a place of danger, for him it was a real treasure ground for leveling up. With renewed determination, he vowed to farm as many skill points as possible by hunting the strongest beasts in the stands. The atmosphere was tense as officials and teachers watched the live rankings. The board showed Su Jin tied at 328 points. An official turned to Master Chen Fan, asking if that surprising student was from his class. Suddenly, Chen Fan became the center of attention, other teachers praising him. Amazed that only students from his class had cracked the top 50 of their school, they complimented his teaching methods. A nervous Chen Fan humbly deflected the praise, insisting it was all thanks to the student's effort. The conversation was cut off when someone shouted, pointing at the screen. Su Jin's ranking had shot up again, jumping to 25th place. An official exclaimed in disbelief that somehow he'd gained 44 points in one go. Director San Wenzhen did quick mental math, recalling that a max-level unranked beast was worth 6 to 8 points, while a low-grade first-level beast was worth between 14 and 16 points. Director Cao Yao finished the reasoning face pale with surprise. Remembering the death board updated every 4 seconds, an impossible conclusion started forming in his mind. Director Sun Wenzhen completed the amazing calculation in just 4 seconds. Sujin must have killed 5 max-level unranked beasts, or 3 low-grade first-level ones. A satisfied smile appeared on his face as he commented, that kind of performance hadn't been seen in years. He turned to Director Cao Yao and noted that this student was a major prospect. That kind of performance hadn't been seen in years. He turned to Director Cao Yao and noted that student was a great prospect, wondering why he'd never heard of him. The director, still shaken, admitted he'd just found out about Sujin Min and said they'd have to ask his homeroom teacher immediately. He called the nervous teacher Chen Fan, asking him to explain Sujin Min's situation to the leaders, especially about his talent standing in front of the city's top education officials. A sweaty Chen Fan stammered the incredible truth: Sujin Min had awakened a grade E skill. The director couldn't believe it, asking if Kim Fan was sure he wasn't mistaken. Kim Fan insisted he was sure and added that he even advised Sujin not to take the exam because of his low-rank skill. Director Sun Wenzhen listened with growing curiosity. He figured that for a student with only an E-rank skill to get this far, he must have other extraordinary qualities. That mystery sparked his interest, and he decided to wait confidently, predicting that at Sujin's pace, he'd soon break into the top 10. At that point, they'd get a dedicated camera and finally understand how he was pulling this off. However, he added a serious warning: if the student was cheating, there would be consequences. Just as he finished speaking, the eyes of Master Chen Fan and Director Cao Yao widened in surprise. A new update popped up on the leaderboard. Sujin had done the impossible and cracked the top 10, now sitting at 9th place. Right below him at number 12 was his cousin Tank. Elsewhere in the exam area, Tank, now with cat ears and a tail, sat atop a defeated beast, looking off with a sly smile, sure that his cousin was the one who wrecked the martial arts hall. The highest-ranked student, Cao Mingjan, also noticed the new name on the board. He was shocked to see that with 6 hours left, an unknown face had entered the top 10. He thought to himself that he'd never heard of Sujin before. Since he was now in the top 10, a drone with a camera was sent to track him. The live feed showed him effortlessly taking down another first-tier beast with his spear. When the creature fell, a notification granted him another 14 points. He commented to himself that the beast-killing efficiency was way higher in the central zone. Then he noticed Eltron and realized he must have broken into the top 10. Standing over his latest prey, Sujin Min reflected on the nature of the exam. He understood it was a test of strength and potential, where better results led to greater recognition. With that in mind, he decided he had no reason to hide his true power, declaring that breaking into the top 10 was just the beginning. Before challenging the central zone, he resolved to level up his strength again. He checked his system panel, which showed his spear technique was already advanced level with 312 skill points. He noticed with some disappointment that his rank hadn't automatically upgraded beyond awakened. He figured the only way to become a true skill user was by learning a specific cultivation method, something impossible during the exam. Since he couldn't raise his rank, he decided to keep improving his basic stats. He spent some points, boosting his physique by 40 and spirit by 22. Feeling a surge of new power, he clenched his fist, ready to finally head to the central zone. He soon arrived at the entrance of that area where the danger level was maxed out. He was greeted by a brutal scene: a pack of 9 armored tigers devouring the corpse of a huge rhino-like beast. From a safe distance, Sujin Min observed the pack, quickly identifying the biggest one in the center with the most powerful aura, the armored Tiger King. Far from intimidated, he saw it as a fat point haul waiting for him. Just as he prepared to move forward, he sensed another presence. He called out to the intruder, ordering him to leave. From behind a corner, Sumin appeared impressed. He congratulated Sujin Min on his sharp perception and admitted he didn't expect the mysterious student who broke into the top 10 to be him. Sujin Min recognized the top-ranked player and asked how he knew who he was. So Wonjong explained he knew all the strong candidates who could enter the central zone. Since Sujin Min was a nobody who rose fast, he naturally deduced his identity. Then, he revealed he'd been watching the tiger pack while preparing to draw his sword. Sujin Min immediately went on guard, wondering if he intended to steal his kill. Songmin already clarified he had no intention of snatching his credit. He explained that the armored Tiger King was a powerful beast of rank. Middle of the first level and rolling deep with his crew of 9 other tigers, was an impossible enemy for just one dude to handle. He suggested teaming up to take down the pack, but Sujinmin shut that down with 2 simple words and a look full of straight-up confidence. He declared he was more than enough on his own, brushing off So Minjong's offer and stepping out, strong and steady, into the open field to face the armored tiger pack. His sudden move instantly grabbed the animals' attention. They let out warning growls, and the Tiger King, perched on his prey, roared to flex his dominance. Sujin-min's eyes narrowed as he sized up his rivals, noticing that as expected from a group led by a beastly king, the tigers showed enough smarts to pull off a simple combat formation with the strongest up front. The pack growled threateningly, ready to attack as one tiger broke off and charged at him, roaring as it lunged. Sumin watched from his hideout, mixing disbelief with curiosity. He decided to keep watching the showdown, wondering if Sujin-min was basically walking straight to his death, or if he had some special skill backing up all that confidence against the beast charging at him. Sujin stood completely still, surrounded by an aura of calm as he readied his spear. In the blink of an eye, he started spinning the weapon at a blinding speed until it almost became an invisible circle, charging up energy for his attack, then unleashed a devastating spinning sweep, sending a massive arc of force that ripped through the air toward the beasts coming at him. The hit landed with overwhelming power in one brutal move, his spinning spear piercing multiple tigers at once, splattering blood across the street as system notifications popped up confirming their deaths and awarding skill points. The lifeless tiger bodies hit the blood-stained pavement. Wiped out instantly by that single powerful attack, the armored Tiger King filled with rage seeing his pack slaughtered. But Sujin-min looked at the carnage with a hint of dissatisfaction, saying it was a shame his physical strength still wasn't enough. Since he couldn't take them all out in one hit, the Tiger King let out a deafening roar, a sonic attack so powerful it aimed to disorient his opponent. The force of the blast shattered nearby building windows, sending a rain of glass down. Even saw Min Yan, watching from a safe distance, got hit by the shockwave, clutching his head in pain while Sujin stood firm amid the broken glass, completely unbothered, instantly recognizing the Tiger King's attempt to intimidate him. With a defiant glare, he made it clear that while that beast could scare others, it couldn't shake him. When the Tiger King lunged at him, Sujin responded with smooth grace and deadly precision. He deflected the feline's attack, then used the beast's body as a springboard to launch himself into the air. The Tiger King saw an opening and charged forward, but Sujin-min was already waiting, still airborne. Positioning himself for a decisive strike, he brought his spear down hard in a powerful downward swing right on the Tiger King's head. Smashing the creature's skull and killing it instantly, he landed with style just as a system notification confirmed the death of a high-rank armored tiger, awarding him a massive 20 skill points. From his hideout, Su Mingyang was completely stunned, sweating and wide-eyed, unable to believe what he'd just witnessed. He muttered to himself that there was no way one guy took out the whole pack, wondering what kind of monster Sujin-min really was. Sujin-min, on the other hand, was hyped, amazed at the huge haul of skill points he'd scored from that pack. He eagerly wondered how many points he could rack up before the 12-hour exam ended. Knowing the more points he got, the stronger he'd become, he decided to rush out and hunt the next group of beasts. But before he could leave, Su Minjiang burst out of his hideout, demanding to know how Sujin did it. Min crushed the tigers with just a long spear and asked if his skill was a reinforcement type, which would explain his insane physical strength. Without stopping, Sujin-min just jumped back and replied from a distance that it was a lightning type. So Wonjiang got mad, not buying that answer, clenched his fist in frustration, thinking Sujin-min was low-key disrespecting him. A moment later, he realized that with so many new kills, Sujin-min's score had probably already caught up fast. He checked the leaderboard on his smartwatch and, to his absolute horror, found out Sujin-min hadn't just caught up. He straight up blew past him. The scoreboard now showed Sujin-min in first place with 122 points, while he got pushed down to second with 985. The revelation had him screaming in frustration. In the stands, the officials were hyped. Director San Wenjian stood up and declared that Sujin-min's high-level spear mastery confirmed he was a legit genius, then slapped the beaming director, Cao Yao, on the shoulder, announcing that with Sujin-min repping them, Sanchang would definitely break into the provincial top 100. Promised recognition for the second high school after the exam ended, which had Director Sao Yao tearing up with joy, overwhelmed by the hype, thinking Sujin-min was a massive surprise. Finally giving his school a moment in the spotlight, 3 hours later in the central zone, Su Mingyang was walking the streets totally confused, wondering out loud where all the fierce beasts had gone. A voice behind him suggested he ask the number 1 ranked student. Turning around, he saw the protagonist's cousin Tanky with other top-ranking students Wu Hu and Mengdi. Tanuki pointed to the empty streets, explaining that Sujin-min had already wiped out all the beasts, saying, since they couldn't find any creatures to fight, they had to team up. Su Mingyang was stunned, unable to believe one person had cleared the entire central zone. Tanky told him he could tell Su Mingyang hadn't been a ranked skill user for long. To prove it, he told him to check his cousin's current score, activated his smartwatch, and the leaderboard popped up. Su Mingyang's eyes went wide open. Seeing the astronomical number next to Sujin-min's name, 435 points more than triple his own, he could only stammer in shock. Tanky calmly broke down the math, subtracting about 700 points Sujin-min had earned in the central zone. He still had over 500 points, meaning he'd soloed almost 200 fierce beasts in the deepest area. A bead of sweat ran down Su Mingyang's face as he got the truth. It wasn't that Sujin-min was scared someone would steal his points. From the start, he planned to monopolize the entire central zone. Tanky described the current situation. With only a few hours left, the top-tier students had formed a team. Their plan was to dive into the deepest core, a place known to be packed with high-rank beasts, and even a second-tier beast king. He admitted going solo would be suicide, then formally invited Su-Ming-yan to join the squad. With no other choice, he accepted, immediately shouting to count him in. The scene switched to a quiet rooftop under moonlight where Su-Jin-min sat alone atop a massive pile of beast corpses with his spear stuck beside him. His supplies were totally drained and he knew the exam was about to end, but his power grind wasn't over. He decided to push further for more skill points. Knowing the innermost core had second-tier fierce beasts, he resolved to power up one last time. Opened his system panel, showing he'd stacked an insane 413 skill points. With a sly grin, he decided to invest them in an upgrade. After channeling the new power, he stood on the corpse of a huge bear-like creature and let out a relieved sigh, feeling confident that with this final boost he could ace this year's combat test. While the other elite students rushed toward the final area, the ultimate race was on. Deep in the core, a new and terrifying beast rose from the ruins, a massive creature like a white-furred wolf, with glowing red eyes and dangerous red crystals jutting out from its back just as the final boss appeared. Su-Jin arrived calm and ready, spear in hand and a confident look, wondering what kind of second-tier beast they'd set for this year's exam. At that same moment, the top squad of students also reached the deepest central zone. They immediately identified the huge crystal-backed creature as a bloodthirsty wild bear. The monster flexed its power by ripping a car apart with a single swipe, a sight that sent chills down the team's spine. Sao-Min-jan shouted they were seriously screwed, while Menti explained that this rare beast had skin as tough as a grade E alloy, impossible to pierce even with missiles. She added, terrified that one swipe of its claw could instantly kill them all. Facing those odds, Tanky suggested aborting the mission. The situation was even worse than they thought. They found out the complex wasn't just guarded by the Beast King, but also by a huge pack of high-rank first-tier beasts. One of them seriously commented that if they went in, they'd probably get wiped out by the horde before the wild bear even moved. Facing this impossible challenge, one team member immediately bailed, saying there was no point in scoring high if he was just gonna die. Su-Min-jan tried to stop him, angrily questioning what the point of being brave was if you were just throwing yourself into certain death in the middle of a horde. The group's morale was totally shattered. Suddenly, Menti pointed toward the complex, shouting at the others to look. They saw a lone figure stepping into the death zone. Tanki's eyes went wide as he recognized him. It was Jimin, walking fearless straight into the heart of the horde. With a slick jump, he dove into the place while the others watched in disbelief. Su-Min-yan complained about how brutal the exam was, while another student panicked, seeing Su-Jin-min's entrance had stirred up the whole horde. Now furious at the intrusion, the entire pack of savage beasts lunged at him. Su-Jin stood his ground in the middle of the street, and in seconds was completely surrounded by roaring creatures. From the rooftop, the other students watched in horror. Tanky worried about his cousin, but Wu Zhao said he'd been way too reckless. She declared she had to go help him, but Menti grabbed her arm to stop her, while Wu Zhao called her crazy, saying it'd be a pointless death. Tanky desperately insisted that Jimin was his cousin, and he couldn't just stand there watching him die before he could act. A massive explosion of purple and blue lightning burst in the center of the horde. The pure power created a blinding flash that forced the students on the rooftop to cover their eyes. Su-Min no longer saw Tanky, wondering aloud if that was the lightning skill Su-Jin-min had mentioned earlier. When the electric storm cleared, it revealed a scene of total carnage. The entire first-tier beast horde was wiped out, their charred bodies scattered around a lone, untouched figure. Su-Jin-in stood amid the devastation, surrounded by crackling purple lightning. He recognized that his physical strength alone wasn't enough, so he'd had to tap into his superpower. A confident smirk spread across his face as he felt the immense power of his Grade S skill. After wiping out the smaller threats, he shifted focus to the final boss, the bloodthirsty wild bear roaring deafeningly over the corpses of its minions. Su-Jimin stayed calm, analyzing his opponent. He noted the creature was huge and probably not very agile, concluding that with his powerful thunder skill, it'd be manageable. Then he noticed the beast wasn't alone, but accompanied by several, smaller yet still dangerous minions. He understood they could be a pain and decided there was only one move. With a fierce look of determination and eyes blazing, he declared he'd clear the area. He launched into battle, his body enhanced by his Grade S lightning skill, moving at a speed, blinding as it tore through the remaining minions. It effortlessly took down a high-ranking Shadow Cat and its timer, smartly confirmed the kill, awarding 13 points with a confident grin, recognizing the insane boost his superpower gave to his physique, though he also admitted he couldn't keep that dangerous state up for long. Knowing it was enough to finish off the minions, he sliced the last one with a powerful sweep of his spear, scoring 15 more points for a high-ranking unicorn rhino. With the area clear, the final showdown began. The wild bear roared furiously, smashing the ground with its massive paws and sending a shockwave that cracked the pavement. The beast charged, shaking the earth. Su-Jin, wrapped in his lightning aura, faced the charge head-on. With a powerful leap, he dodged the charge and threw his spear in a devastating arc, shattering one of the big red crystals on the creature's back. The battle raged on in a whirlwind of moves, skillfully dodging the bear's attacks and striking with precision, breaking more crystals and weakening the beast. His timer kept updating points as he dismantled the Beast King's defenses. The bear roared in rage as it watched its minions fall. Su-jin, wrapped in lightning, taunted it, asking if it was getting mad and promised he'd finish it off after dealing with the last rhino. When he charged the last minion, the Bear King watched him with cunning intelligence just as Su-jin was about to land the blow. The beast moved with unexpected speed. Su-jin was shocked to realize the monster had anticipated his move. The Bear King clasped its claws, sacrificing its last minion to generate a shockwave that shattered the ground and nearby cars. The final rhino was blown to pieces in the explosion, but the attack didn't hurt it. Su-jin, surrounded by his lightning aura, spun in the air, gracefully landing unscathed. With the field clear of minor threats, only the two kings remained face to face. Su-jin flashed a fierce grin as energy crackled around his body. He decided that with no more creatures around, it was time to test if the monster's armored skin could withstand the power of his thunder. With a strong thrust, he drove his lightning-covered spear into the wild bear's bloodthirsty head. The impact unleashed a massive explosion of purple energy that even covered the drone following him cutting the camera feed. Students on the rooftop shielded their faces from the flash as the shockwave hit the stands. Officers watched silently, stunned, the screen full of static. Director San Wenzhen, shocked, turned to Director Cao Yao, yelling if he really called that power a Class E skill, and accused him of joking. Another official, amazed, commented that Su-jin could instantly kill a high-level Rank 1 beast and fight a Rank 2 boss, something even a Class A user would struggle with. Cao Yao, sweating and speechless, could only guess it was a rare skill mutation. Still, San Wenzhen burst out laughing and declared that after that day, the whole nation of Gracia would tremble at Su-jin's name. Back on the battlefield, the outcome was clear. The wild bear was wounded with a deep crack in its head, but not defeated. It roared and swiped at Su-jin with its claw, sending him flying. He was surprised that such a powerful attack barely left a superficial wound. He landed hard, regaining balance thanks to his skills. He quickly analyzed the situation and realized the monster's skin resisted cutting weapons and didn't conduct electricity. He admitted to himself that with his current strength, it would be tough to take down the creature in one hit. The enraged bear began gathering dark energy around its body. Su-jin, sensing that power, could only watch in awe as the black energy condensed in the monster, which charged like a massive bullet, smashing everything in its path. The ground trembled under its force. Su-jin, who charged like a massive bullet, smashing everything in its path. The ground shook under its power. Suginami jumped over the rubble, surrounded by purple lightning, preparing. He was surprised the beast had activated its berserk state so fast, showing the hatred it had for him. Now covered in dark energy, the monster crouched and let out a deafening roar. Before charging with more speed and ferocity, Su-jin Min, impressed, recognized the amazing strength of a beast in that state. But he also knew it came at a cost. They lost intelligence, acting only on instinct. He formed a new strategy. He had to dodge the attacks and use his agility to keep his distance. He put his plan into action, dodging blows with crazy speed, knowing he had to wait for the perfect moment to stop it, even if just for a sec. When the beast lunged, Su-jin channeled lightning into his spear and hurled it forward, unleashing a shock that hit its side. The attack stunned the massive creature for a crucial second, its body shaking from the jolt. That was the shot he needed. With the beast dazed, his eyes lit up as he readied his ultimate move. He raised his hand, gathering a massive surge of purple and blue energy, calling on all the power of his ranged skill. Shouting, "Divine lightning of the 9 heavens, destroy it!" A torrent of divine lightning crashed from the sky, hitting the wild bear dead on. The beast got caught in the blast, its roars muffled by crackling energy. When the light faded, the colossus was already motionless, smoke rising from its charred body. Su-jin Min stood firm, a confident grin on his face as purple lightning danced on his fingers. He said that after half a minute under his divine lightning, not even the thickest defense could hold up. But the fight wasn't over. One of the beast's eyes snapped open, glowing with furious red. With a last desperate roar, it lunged with jaws wide for a final bite. But the electricity running through its body paralyzed it just inches from its target. Spotting the chance, Su-jin murmured calmly, "This is it." He gathered all his remaining power into the spear, eyes blazing. He unleashed his ultimate technique and said, "Lightning windbreak." He fired a massive orb of lightning that slammed into the monster's open mouth. The explosion was colossal, a vortex of energy tearing it apart from the inside, creating a huge crater in the street. The final blow completely took down the imposing level 2 boss. Its massive body collapsed to the ground, defeated. A system notification confirmed the kill and awarded him 24 more skill points. Kneeling beside the Bear King's corpse, Su-jin Min sighed in relief, declaring the final battle was over. He reflected that to face a level 2 beast, he'd upgraded his lightning and wind techniques and felt satisfied with his power. A triumphant smile spread across his face. He admitted that even though the fight lasted just 2 minutes, it was the most hype he'd ever had. Then he wondered how many points he'd rack up after clearing all the beasts in the central zone. The exam wrapped up as night fell. In the stands, the final results flashed on the main screen and the crowd went wild. In first place was Su-jin with an insane score of 10,835 points. Far behind in second was Zhao Mingyan with 103 points, followed by Wu Hu with 945. The officials were hyped. Director San Wenzen, Director Cao Yao, and Professor Chemfan jumped out of their seats celebrating, shouting that Sujin Min hadn't just broken his city's record but the whole Hyangnan provinces. They called him a straight-up genius. They remembered last year's provincial champ barely cracked 8,000 points with that mark. They declared Sujin had basically locked in the title of champion for the year. Standing amid the wreckage, Sujin looked up at the sky and noticed time was running out. He reflected on his achievements with a confident smile. He'd wiped out all the beasts in the inner zone and core. With some time left, he decided to head back to the central area to clear out any monsters still lurking. As he walked back, he passed the spot where the other top students gathered. They stared at him in disbelief. Tan Ki was amazed her cousin had taken down a level 2 Beast King, while Su Ming-jan was still baffled, wondering why Sujin Min was coming back when he was already in first place. Ming Di guessed. Wondering why Sujin Min was coming back if he was already in first place, Ming Di correctly guessed that he was heading back to the central area. The terrifying thought hit her, and she wondered aloud if he planned to eliminate all the remaining beasts. The other students were speechless at such ambition. Reality hit them hard. Su Min-yang realized that with Sujin Min's speed, he might actually pull it off if they didn't leave soon. They could end up with 0 points in the last hour. He declared their alliance was over and left first. The others quickly followed. Rushing to hunt down any beast left, an official announcement boomed across the exam grounds an hour later. The 2037 entrance exam for Xiancheng Martial Arts Academy was officially over. Killing beasts no longer counted, and all candidates had to return to the entire area. Students reacted in different ways. Tanki wiped sweat from her forehead and sighed in relief because it was finally done. Elsewhere, a student was bummed about missing one beast to pass, while another was hyped just to barely make it. Amid the chaos, Sujin Min stood over his last kill. Unsatisfied, he wondered why the exam had to end so fast, feeling like it wasn't over yet. When students left the grounds, guards greeted them, their faces showing exhaustion and relief. Outside, Tanki's friend Xiao Yao was still shook by Sujin Min's power. She clung to Tanki. Asking for the third time if he was really her cousin, Tanki tiredly confirmed he was. Xiao Yao's crush was back. Blushing, she begged Tanki for his contact info. He reminded her that just the day before she wasn't interested. Xiao immediately replied that things were different now since he'd topped the exam and kept begging. Their chat got cut off by a ruckus. Someone yelled that Sujin Min was coming out, and a crowd of students swarmed the exit. Desperate to see the new champ, Sujin Min emerged from the door looking chill and holding his spear. He got cheers and congrats. Some joked asking for 100 points as a gift. He smiled and waved. Enjoying the sudden fame as he headed to the buses, Wu Jie and Songmin stopped watching. Wu Hao said Su Minyan should have been in that spot, but Cao humbly said he was happy with his score, admitting he never thought the second prep school could produce a monster like that. Before Sujin Min could board the bus, he was stopped by Director Sao Yao, who congratulated him and introduced him to Director San Wenjan, who said he wanted to personally take him. Sujin looked at the chaotic crowd and knew it was for the best, since he knew the bus ride would be full of questions. He got into a sleek black car with the officials that sped off. Inside, Director San asked Sujin Min which superpower university he wanted to attend. He admitted he'd been so focused on training he hadn't thought about it. The director assured him that with his results, any university would be within reach. However, he advised that half of the country's top-tier super users graduated from the top 3 universities, recommending he consider them. San Wenjan detailed the 3 schools. The first was Qinghing Superpower University, government-affiliated, whose grads went straight into the system and served the country. The second was Modu Superpower University, famous for top resources and elite clubs. Finally, there was Jinshan Superpower University with a long history and solid faculty. All 3 had first-class cultivation methods that weren't public. Sujin listened carefully, understanding that awakened ones needed those special methods to become true super users. He asked what made those methods special. The director explained that with a basic method it took 3 to 4 years to advance, while a top-tier one only took half a year. He assured Sujin that with his results he'd qualify for special admission even at those schools. After dropping off the officials, Sujin Min got home late at night. The next day he showered and felt refreshed. He checked his system panel and saw he had 534 skill points, left enough for a superpower university. While drying off, he wondered if there'd be beast house competitions after enrolling, deciding he'd have to hit the desert to keep leveling up. Meanwhile, his cousin, Tanki, rolled up to his apartment with his mom and his homie King Wan, and when they saw the door busted open, they figured it was the perfect chance to surprise him. They walked in and Tanki shouted a happy surprise greeting, but the timing was straight up savage. Sujin Min was just there wrapped in a towel. He'd just stepped out of the shower and froze when he saw his aunt and cousin. His aunt, just as nervous, asked what he was doing, while Tanki blushed, totally speechless. Then, spotting the wrecked apartment, his aunt snapped, pissed, asking how it ended up like this. Flashback. After his parents died, his aunt took him in, raising him and giving him that homey warmth. She handled her guardian duties like a boss, even cooking his favorite meals every now and then. After the initial shock, Sujin Min chilled with his aunt and cousin, and his homie King Wan let out a sigh of relief, confessing she'd been super worried. When she found out he took the martial arts exam, she was stressed, but seeing him safe and sound calmed her down. he reassured her, saying the score wasn't what really mattered. Confused, Soo-jin Min asked if Tanki hadn't told her the results. She winked, saying it was better if he told her himself, flashing a shy smile. Soo-jin Min shared that he did pretty damn well, scoring over 10,000 points. The news hit so hard his aunt spat out her drink, coughing and asking him to repeat the number. Tanki confirmed it was true, telling his mom he got 11,124 points. His aunt was speechless for a sec, then burst into tears of joy and hugged him tight. She yelled that the Soo family finally had a successor, and that his parents up in heaven must be proud. Meanwhile, in a high-tech conference room, university recruiters were checking out the exam results. A woman presented Soo-jin Min's data, pointing out his age, his supposed Class E skill, and his rank as an unclassified awakened. One recruiter insisted they had to recruit him if that score was legit, but another was skeptical, arguing that with his rank he couldn't have pulled off such a high score. The debate went on, some claiming his skill had to be at least Class A or even Class S, while another recruiter mocked, suggesting he must have cheated. Before things got heated, a high-ranking figure ordered them to stop. A woman with a commanding presence made the call, instructing the team to register Soo-jin Min as a special Class S recruit for now, if the score was real. She declared she'd personally head to Hyeonchan to investigate. The day after the exam, Soo-jin Min got a notification on his phone the provincial martial arts exam results for Hyeonnan were out. He was informed he took first place in the entire province, with a crazy score of 11,124 points. Surprise and joy lit up his face as he sat down, celebrating his achievement as the top student in Hyeonnan. The news spread fast online, dominating trending searches. The public debated how some unknown from Hyeonchan could become the provincial #1, wondering who Soo-jin Min really was and if someone with Class E skills could actually hit that score. Skeptics dismissed it, while others demanded to see the exam video as proof. To clear the doubts, an award ceremony was set up where director Sao Yao spoke to the media. A reporter straight up asked about the authenticity of Soo-jin Min's results. Director Sao Yao confidently replied that the exam video was already uploaded on the school's website, confirming the test's transparency. Watching the video, people were blown away, shouting that Soo-jin Min crushed the skull of a rank 1.1 rhino with just one hit, showing power even beyond a first-rank superhuman. They wondered how this was possible for someone with a Class E electric skill. Proud director Sao Yao assured that the video proved the results were legit and praised Soo-jin as the first Hyeonchan student to earn the title of top provincial student. Then director Sao Yao handed Soo-jin a massive check for 1 million won, congratulating him and announcing that this cash prize, along with superpower training methods, was a gift from the city's education office. Plus, the municipal government would grant him a bonus and a fancy villa. Reporters hype up the moment while a woman with an authoritative vibe, accompanied by 2 bodyguards, watches from a car and says that even though Hyeonchan showed the footage, that doesn't guarantee his Jimin didn't use drugs to boost his performance. She claims the key thing is confirming the real level of his superpower. Back at the ceremony, director Sao Yao asks Master Chen Fan why his Jimin, the star of the day, still hasn't shown up. Master Chen Fan smiles and explains he just talked to him and said he's still grinding at the martial arts gym. The director laughs, finding it wild that the new top student keeps training even after the exam. With Jimin on his way, the scene switches to a meeting room where director Sao Yao nervously serves tea to 3 intimidating figures he calls masters. When one of them coldly refuses the tea, Sao Yao starts sweating, feeling the powerful aura radiating from these high-level superhumans, shaking his heart. The 3 are recruiters from the country's most prestigious superpower universities, and the atmosphere is thick with spiritual pressure ready to clash. The short-haired gray-purple Sansao Ye admissions director of Modu Superpower University breaks the silence with sarcasm, asking her rivals who they're targeting. A woman in a sky-blue dress, Soo-yoon from King Superpower University, snaps back at Sao Yue not to play dumb and firmly declares that, as long as the results are legit, King Jing will recruit him. A long-haired black dude, Wu Yuan from Jinshin Superpower University, mocks that claim and insists his university will get him. Sparks of energy fly between them as Sao Yue thinks recruiting the top student always means beef with the other academies. Just as the tension hits peak, the door swings open and Jimin walks in with his spear over his shoulder, calmly greeting the 3 powerful figures, calling them masters. His sudden arrival shocks the recruiters. Sao Yue watches him with interest, noticing his spirit is packed with determination and that he's still carrying his weapon, a sign he hasn't stopped training. Even more, she's impressed he hasn't cracked under the combined pressure of 3 high-level superhumans. Director Sao Yao formally introduces the recruiters to Jimin director Sao Yue from Modu, director Soo-yoon from Kinghin, and Minister Gu Yuan from Jinshin. The first to speak is Sanzao Ye, who congratulates him on his sick combat skills in the exam, and bluntly asks why his superpower no longer looks like the weak Class E electricity, demanding an explanation. Expecting this, Soo-jin Min gives a prepared answer, calmly explaining that before the exam, while training at home, he got struck by natural lightning and his superpower got way stronger. Wooju and Soo-yoon immediately conclude it's a superpower mutation. Then Sao Yue suggests Soo-jin Min probably doesn't know the real level of his mutated power. She reveals she brought a superpower detection device and invites Jimin to try it out. She presents a glowing circular gadget and asks him to activate it. Sujimin places his hand on the device and unleashes his power. A massive violent blast of purple and white lightning envelops him. Suyun looks visibly shook by the lightning's force. The device finishes scanning, identifying the superpower as Purple Cloud Divine Thunder. But when it tries to assign a rank, it starts beeping erratically and cracks appear on its surface. In a golden flash, the device overloads and explodes into pieces, sending electric arcs all over the room, shocking everyone. A confused director Sao Yao asks what's going on. However, Wu Yuan and Su Yun look hyped, declaring the situation confirmed his power overloaded the device, meaning his ability has to be at least Class S. With Sujin's Class S potential confirmed, Sao Yue smiles, convinced they bet on the right guy this time. The confirmation instantly sparks a savage bidding war. Wu Jian from Jinshin University. He's the first to speak up, offering Sujin Min a 4000001 bonus, a full set of Class C gear, and free access to all superpower training methods for 4 years. Suyun from Kinghing University mocks his offer, with a charming smile presenting her own deal, a 5 million bonus plus free access for 4 years to all her Class S training methods and combat techniques. Sujinim is stunned by the generosity of the offer. Finally, San Saoye from Modu University steps in, saying Modu doesn't offer cash bonuses or gear, but can match the other offers when it comes to cultivation methods. Then she reveals her final card. They'll also provide an S-Class cultivation resource every year. The mention of an S-Class resource leaves Gu Huan and Ah Su-jun totally shook. Sujinmin, not fully getting it, asks what exactly an S-Class resource is. Seoyo explains, asking if he's heard of dragon-type ferocious beasts. She says they're creatures with innate power, born at a very high level like rank 4 or 5, way stronger than other beasts. Then she drops a bomb. S-Class resources include the blood from the heart of an adult rank 8 dragon. Consuming that blood massively boosts the body and grants strength comparable to a dragon's. She clarifies that all S-Class resources are on that level. The other recruiters are left speechless. Su-yun admits even she feels tempted, pointing out Modu's huge wealth. Wu Yuan, a bit nervous, notes that S-Class resources are usually reserved for top students, and offering them to a newbie is unheard of. Both realize they can't compete with all the offers on the table. The 3 recruiters stand before Sujin, telling him it's time to make a decision. With a firm, confident smile, he chooses Modu University of Superpowers without hesitation. He explains it's not just the insane offer, but because their combat training is the best in the whole university alliance. Plus, many founders came from there. Then he bows to Sujun and Wu Juan, thanking them for their offers. They look disappointed but satisfied with his choice. Director Sao Yue creates a shiny admission letter and hands it to Sujin Min, welcoming him. She explains that although classes start September 1st as a special recruit, he can register early and will be assigned a place to live. Eager to start, Sujin Min asks if he can get early access to training methods and combat techniques from the library. Sao Yue immediately agrees, adding the school can offer him a private study room. She also gives him her contact card and tells him to call when he arrives at the Magic City. With the letter in hand, Sujin Min smiles and says he can't wait to enroll. Sometime later, Sujin Min is at the train station with his luggage full of excitement while an announcement tells passengers of train G91 to the Magic City to start boarding. His Aunt Su King-won is moved, wiping tears, while her husband Tang Daolin consoles her, proudly saying the kid has grown up and will fly high when he leaves. Beside them, Tanki watches silently, and his dad reminds him it's time to pick his university, suggesting since his cousin is going to the Superpowers University in the Magic City, she should look for options there too. Su King-won agrees, saying that way they can watch out for each other. Embarrassed, Tanki quietly agrees. On the 6-hour train ride, Sujin Min is already studying, thinking the exam's biggest reward is the universal training method of the Manhwa Avisal. Like superpowers, training methods have basic, intermediate, advanced, and elite levels. A chart shows the higher the level, the faster the training, and the greater the power gained. While traveling, Sujin Min focuses on studying the universal method of Manhwa Avisal. He identifies it as an intermediate level technique, and notes that with his 180 spiritual power, it took him half a day to memorize. He remembers that the first time he practiced it, he could sense the world's special energy. That unlocked a new option on his system panel, showing a plus symbol next to his level, which meant he could level up from Awakened to Superpower user, but he decided not to level up just yet. He remembered the manual said the higher the method level used for leveling up, the bigger the benefits. Knowing he'd soon have access to elite techniques at the university, he chose to wait and not waste the chance with a mid-tier method. When he arrived at the Magic City, Sujin Min was blown away by the university campus. From the car, he saw the school grounds stretched for hundreds of meters. He was greeted by Director San Saoe, who rolled up in a red sports car and invited him in to take him through the admission process while touring the beautiful campus full of cherry blossoms. The director proudly mentioned the area covered 26 square kilometers, and even said visitors couldn't explore the whole campus in one day. Sujin Min was amazed, thinking seeing it in person beat any description. After a quick registration, the director handed him his new student card and ID, multifunctional, which gave him access to the dorms. Approaching his new residence, Sujin Min recalled that in his past life, he'd seen everything from shared rooms to apartments, but what he saw now left him speechless. His dorm was a luxury villa. The director explained all students lived in villas with quality based on their scores. As the top provincial student, Soo-jin Min got the swankiest model over 800 square meters in size. She added the villa was for 2 people with an upper and lower floor, so he and his future roommate would each have their own floor. Soo-jin Min thought sharing wasn't bad, even better than being alone, and though he was an orphan who enjoyed the warmth of a shared residence, he felt this experience would be valuable too. While following the director up the stairs inside the villa, she sat down with him to explain some important university points. She highlighted 2 main systems credits and mentors. First, she explained that in credit mode, credits were everything, used for any transaction from buying food to getting powerful gear. She clarified 1 credit was roughly equal to 10,000 Daxia coins. She said there were many ways to earn credits, one being a fixed amount, each year based on student ranking. As an S-class student, Soo-jin Min received 100 credits annually. To demonstrate, she summoned a small spherical robot named Eva. The device floated and projected a message confirming the 100 credit balance. The director introduced the robot as Eva the AI integrated into every dorm. She explained Eva's main body was the school's central AI and the dorm units were subunits. Still, even those subunits were level 4 capable of assisting with daily life. Soo-jin Min was shocked realizing the AI tech on Blue Star was way more advanced than in his past life. With the first point covered, the director moved on to the mentor system, explaining each student could pick a teacher they admired and ask for guidance, though the mentor had to accept. Soo-jin Min was intrigued and asked if, as a newbie, he could get personalized guidance. She confirmed yes, adding all university mentors were high-level individuals with extraordinary powers. Most had their own original combat techniques and training methods which they never shared with outsiders. Those secret techniques could only be learned by becoming official disciples. Given Soo-jin Min's talent, she told him there were 4 mentors specializing in the lightning element at the university. Her top recommendation was Yang, Senshin Dean of the Weapons Academy. On her command, Ava projected the dean's profile, showing Yang Senshin was 52 years old, a high-rank level 7 individual with an A-rank lightning superpower. He was a master of various weapons, especially the spear earning him the title Thunder Spear. The report also noted that once he fought an 8-rank demon whale for 3 days and nights straight, until he defeated it solo. The director also showed info on the other 3 possible mentors, but he made it clear the final call was his after checking out the options. Soo-jin Min flashed a confident smile, noticing that Dean Yang not only mastered lightning but also the spear, concluding he was the best pick. Decision made. Soo-jin Min headed to the mentor's residence, a traditional building complex surrounded by a thick forest. Arriving at the dean's massive front gate, he thought a master's crib was way fancier than the student's villa. Before he could step in, a brown-haired dude, leaning on a stone lion, asked if he was also there to find a mentor. The guy was shocked to find out Soo-jin Min was still at the awakened level, guessing he must be some special recruit. After confirming, Soo-jin Min heard the student explain that in past years, special recruits were usually rank 1/2 or higher. Then he introduced himself as Tan Min-yan, a Weapons Academy student. Soo-jin Min replied he was a newbie. Tan looked impressed, saying it was way too early to be hunting for a mentor since most rookies found out about it after the first-year competition, which piqued Soo-jin Min's curiosity. Tan explained the rookie competition was a university tradition held a few days after enrollment. All the teachers showed up, and the top-performing students got scouted by academies, some even handpicked by mentors. He clarified that while it wasn't impossible for a special recruit to seek a mentor early trying, to become the dean's disciple right after joining was like hitting the lottery. Soo-jin Min thanked him kindly for the info and asked if he was also after Master Yang. With a sigh, Tan confirmed, revealing he'd tried multiple times over the past 6 months but always got shut down. He was about to give up, though he decided to try one last time. Just as he finished talking, the huge doors swung open and a middle-aged man, probably a butler, appeared, surprising Tan. The butler greeted him with a friendlier vibe and told them Master Yang was waiting inside, inviting them in. Tan was shook by the warm welcome, wondering if this meant he actually had a shot this time. The butler led them to a room where they met, 2 men. Soo-jin immediately felt an overwhelming presence from the older one, a man with an imposing aura, gray beard, and sharp gaze. He recognized him as Dean Yang of the Weapons Academy. Next to him stood a long-haired young man. The dean went straight to Soo-jin Min, saying he must be the student the director San had told him about, completely ignoring Tan. He asked Soo-jin to follow him to the training room. In a traditional dojo filled with weapons, Dean Yang said he'd seen Soo-jin's martial arts exam video, praised his combat and aiming skills, but clarified that before deciding, he needed to see his rank S skill in person, the Purple Sky Divine Thunder. Soo-jin Min calmly accepted. Under the dean's watchful eyes, he channeled his power, sending purple lightning arcs, crackling down his arms, then unleashed a violent burst of purple and white energy that filled the room, sizzling with insane force. The dean looked visibly impressed, flashing a big smile, recognizing that rank S skill. Mentally, he compared it to his own rank A skill and admitted the gap between rank A and S was impossible to close. He saw huge potential in the kid, thinking if he perfected his techniques, his future could rival his own. After the demo, the dean declared that with Sujin's potential, accepting him as a disciple wouldn't be a problem. However, he dropped a serious warning explaining that throughout his life he'd made many friends, but also plenty of enemies. He couldn't guarantee his rivals wouldn't target his disciples and asked if Sujin was still down to have him as a master knowing the risks. Without hesitation, Sujin knelt in formal respect. Even so, he was willing to accept him as a teacher, knowing the risks. Without hesitation, Sujin Min knelt in formal respect. With a determined smile, he declared he was willing. He explained passionately that he admired high-level warriors who had grown stronger through bloody battles, he believed. The number of enemies defeated by his master was proof of his incredible combat ability. Satisfied with the answer, Dean Yang, he let out a loud laugh and officially accepted him as a disciple, announcing that from that day on, Sujin would be his disciple. Number 32, and the first to possess an S-rank skill. After asking him to stand, he handed over his first gifts, an elite training method called the Extreme Skill Training Method, and a body-strengthening combat technique called the Thunder Indestructible Body, both created by himself. Sujin was shook by the value of the gifts, realizing that a combat technique that could strengthen the body was way more valuable than anything else. The dean explained that although the training method was one of only 3 elite ones, in the school the real gem was the Thunder Indestructible Body, the result of his entire lifetime of work. He added that the technique had been certified by 2 major martial arts halls and officially ranked as S-rank. The reveal left Sujin Min speechless, amazed to learn about the existence of a combat technique at that level. Just like skills, combat techniques also had ranks from F up to SSSSS. The higher the rank, the harder they were to master, but also the more powerful they became. Reflecting on this, Sujin understood the terrifying talent of his new master. He knew most level 7 masters were exceptional, and if they managed to create an A-rank technique, the fact that his master had created an S-rank technique proved overwhelming martial talent. Dean Yang continued explaining the details of his technique, pointing out that the Thunder Indestructible Body was exclusive to users of the lightning element and consisted of 13 levels. With each level, the practitioner's body underwent a transformation. However, a crucial requirement to start cultivating it was clarified. First, it was necessary to advance from a state of awakening to becoming a true skill user. The dean gave Sujin Min his first task, ordering him to use the Extreme Skill Training Method to achieve that breakthrough. Once he succeeded, he had to come back, and the dean would personally help him build the foundation of the indestructible lightning body. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Sujin bowed, deeply convinced it was way better to have a master's guidance. Then the dean shared his own personal motivation, confessing he had only cultivated the technique up to level 10. He looked at Sujin Min with hope, saying that if he didn't reach the peak of a martial saint, then Sujin Min would be the greatest hope to prove the technique's true potential. His eyes shone as he revealed his final guess. If someone managed to cultivate the technique to the supreme level, their body would reach an eternal indestructible state. Leaving his master's residence and saying goodbye to the butler, Sujin Min found Tan Min Yan sitting on the steps, head down, looking defeated, holding his head in his hands, sunk in despair. Sujin Min approached and asked what was wrong. It was revealed that Tan Min Yan had failed his attempt to become a disciple. The exam consisted of facing one of the dean's veteran disciples with the condition to beat him. While the veteran only used 1/10 of his combat power, Tan Min Yan found it impossible being defeated with no chance. Now, sitting on the steps, he looked up at Sujin Min, assuming he had failed too. He commented that getting under Dean Yang's tutelage wasn't easy and asked if he needed some advice from his experience with failures. Calmly, Sujin Min rejected him, simply saying he had already been accepted. The words hit Tan Min Yan like a physical blow. His bruised face twisted in absolute disbelief, exclaiming he had never heard of a dean-level mentor accepting a disciple before the annual rookie competition. As Sujin Min walked away calmly, Tan Min Jung watched stunned, unable to understand what had just happened. With a new goal in mind, Sujin Min returned to his dorm's training room, sat cross-legged, and began cultivating, using his new master's Extreme Skill Training Method. Meditating, he was amazed by the effectiveness of that top-tier technique. Noticing that the amount of energy he felt was way higher compared to the intermediate method, a confident smile popped up on his face. Knowing he already mastered the basics, he decided there was no need to practice step by step. Instead, he'd use his advantage system to level up, directly opening his system panel and ordering to spend his skill points to boost his level. The effect was instant and intense. A wave of energy surged through his body, making him grunt in pain. He clenched his clothes as raw energy pumped through his veins, power exploding from his body in a massive blast of light and force that shook the room. Moments later, the energy calmed down. Breathing hard, Sujin Min stood up, thinking he'd broken through a notification. Confirmed his new status as a low-rank first-level skill user, he examined his hand, where stable, powerful blue lightning now crackled, testing his control. A much bigger, stronger current of lightning flowed from his palm, a clear sign of his power-up. Clenching his fist, he marveled at the result. He felt his strength had increased at least 4 or 5 times, thinking confidently that if he faced the bloodthirsty level 2 Tyrant Bear again, his thunder skill alone would be enough to take it down. He checked his system panel to verify his new stats and understood why all skill users craved high-level cultivation methods, calculating that if he'd used the intermediate method, his vitality and spirit would have only gone up by 30 or 40 points. But now, with the superior method, they'd jumped nearly 100 points at once. The difference was undeniable, plus the upgrade only cost him 300 skill points, so he decided to save the rest, knowing that learning a powerful combat technique, like the indestructible lightning body, was even more important as an S-rank skill. He expected the point cost to master it to be insanely high with his breakthrough complete. Sujin Min was ready for the next stage. A new thought crossed his mind while at university. Maybe it was time to hit the library. The next day, Sujin Min returned to his master's residence. Dean Yang was totally shocked to see him, wondering how he'd leveled up so fast, pacing back and forth, remembering that in his 20 years of teaching he'd seen countless geniuses, but even the most talented needed plenty of time to become true skill users. He pointed out that less than 24 hours had passed since Sujin Min got the manual with a shy smile. Sujin Min admitted that maybe the only thing he could be proud of was how fast he'd progressed, adding that when he tried to start cultivating the indestructible lightning body, even the intro part was a challenge. The dean listened and explained the process, forging the foundation involved, using the blood of a lightning element beast as a guide, combining it with his own electricity to temper muscles and bones. He emphasized a critical point. The final strength of the technique was tied to the quality of the beast's blood used. Now that Sujin Min had advanced, the dean declared he'd help him forge the foundation that very day, revealing that high-level lightning beasts were rare and that his original plan was to use the blood of a level 7 giant storm bear. However, upon learning Sujin Min had access to an S-rank resource each year, he made a special request, deciding to combine resources and begged the university president to grant an even more valuable S-rank resource. With those words, he presented Sujin Min a small vial containing a bright red liquid, the essential blood of a fierce level 8 beast, the Thunder Tyrant. Deeply moved by the effort of his new master and the president, Sujin Min accepted the vial and swore to repay that kindness many times over. Satisfied, the dean said they should start immediately. They went to a training room where Sujin Min knelt shirtless. Satisfied, the dean said they had to start right away, and went to a training room where Sujin Min knelt down shirtless. The dean uncovered the jar and poured the powerful bright red blood over his head and back. Sujin gritted his teeth, groaning as the substance touched his skin. The dean warned him to bear the pain, explaining that this blood was highly toxic for low-level users and that intense agony was expected. Then the dean prepared to use his own power to help. He told Sujin he would use his true thunder of fire and wind of range to forge the base, clarifying that how much he could absorb would depend solely on his stamina. The dean unleashed his power, a violent surge of red lightning, and aimed it at his Jimin's body. The energy coursed through him, making bright red patterns spread across his back and chest. The process was brutal, and he threw his head back, letting out a raw scream of agony, while his body was forcibly tempered by the immense power 5 days after the tempering started. Senior disciple Liu was having tea with the dean's butler. Uncle Fu Liu commented on how tough the new disciple was. He'd lasted 5 days, which made him a bit jealous since he'd only managed 2 days during his own tempering, which was with the blood of a 7th-level beast, way weaker. He admitted Sujin Min's performance deserved the essential blood of an 8th-level dragon beast. He added that with a rank S lightning skill, he was hyped to see the results of the indestructible thunder body of his new bro. Suddenly, a loud crash from the training room startled him. Liu ran upstairs, wondering if the base forging was done. Peeking cautiously through the door, he witnessed a terrifying scene. Sujin stood shirtless, covered in blood, his eyes glowing red. A chaotic aura of dark energy and blue lightning surrounded him. He looked like he'd lost control. More beast than human. Liu froze in fear, sensing a threat like a high-level savage beast, which made him shiver. In that primal state, Sujin sent Liu flying at the entrance and lunged to attack him. However, before he could land a hit, the Dean Yang's commanding voice boomed, ordering him to snap out of it. The Dean's shout cut through his bloodlust, and Sujin stopped his attack just inches from his buddy. Sweating and dazed, he asked his master what had happened, and why he'd felt that overwhelming urge to destroy everything. The Dean explained that the essential blood of the Thunder Tyrant probably messed with his mind. He pointed out that beast was famous for its ferocity, and since his Jimin's absorption and compatibility rates were so high, he'd experienced that dangerous side effect. He calmed him down, assuring that as long as he avoided intense emotional swings, he'd be fine and the side effects would fade gradually as his strength grew. Sujin Min felt major relief looking at his hands, expressing his fear of being controlled by his emotions. With the crisis past, the Dean's tone shifted to joy. He told his still confused Jimin to cheer up because the forging was a perfect success with an insane 98% absorption rate. Proud, he explained that among all disciples who'd cultivated that body, the highest recorded was 92%. With that, Sujin Min had just broken a historic record. His senior bro Liu came over with a congratulatory smile, telling his new little bro that with the base forged successfully, his future in martial arts would be way easier. The dean formally introduced him as Liu Min, a skill user at the peak of the 3rd level, and told his Jimin he could hit him up with any cultivation questions in the future. Sujin greeted him and Liu pulled out his phone explaining that since he hadn't prepared a gift, he'd just transfer credits instead. Sujin was shocked when he got the notification he'd received 200 credits. He exclaimed it was way too much, quickly calculating it was like 2 million big Daxia coins. The dean brushed off his worries, saying 200 credits weren't a big deal for Liu, and that it was a big bro's duty to look out for the younger ones. He added that when Sujin Min had his own disciples, he'd have to prepare. To take care of the juniors, he added that when Sujin Min had his own disciples, he'd also have to prepare. Gifts, a lesson he accepted humbly. With training done, the dean told Sujin Min that after 5 days without food or water, he had to come back to rest. He gave him his next instructions return the next morning to learn fist and spear techniques alongside Liu. Grateful, Sujin Min said goodbye to his master and headed back. In his fancy villa, he found a young guy with spiky white hair and red eyes sitting on the couch focused on a video game. The guy turned around when he noticed he wasn't alone and greeted him, guessing he must be his new roommate, introducing himself as Liu Guantao. When Sujin Min said his name, Guantao's eyes went wide with excitement, pointing at him and shouting that he was the highest scorer in Hyangnan province. When asked how he knew, Guantao proudly declared his nickname was Mr. Know-It-All because he knew most of the freshmen. He admitted he hadn't researched Sujin Min specifically, but the hype he caused was so huge it was impossible not to hear about it. He was amazed that the legendary surprise from the exam was now his roommate, and with a friendly arm over his shoulder, he started bombarding him with questions, like if he was really from Yangcheng, if during the exam he was just awakened, and pointing out that his skill didn't seem like an E rank. Despite the endless questions Sujin Min found, he actually liked this chatty, friendly dude. He reflected that he'd always hated being alone, remembering his past growing up in an orphanage with no sense of belonging, how school was better because he had friends, and that his happiest memories came from college days. Joking and messing around with his roommates, he recalled earning his master's and doctorate degrees, never imagining that after drinking too much at graduation he'd wake up in a different world. He thought about how, even after transmigrating, he was still an orphan, but with a roommate like Guantao, he wouldn't feel lonely. Meanwhile, Guantao proudly bragged about being a top student from Sichuan province with an A-rank skill, and currently a mid-level first-tier skill user. He declared his ambition to specialize in military tactics at university and command a military region to wipe out all the savage beasts on Blue Star. Switching topics, Sujin Min mentioned he was heading to the martial arts hall. Intrigued, Guantao decided to tag along, admitting he hadn't visited the university's hall yet. They arrived at the imposing Thunder Martial Hall, a branch of the Magic University where they found a lively, chaotic scene, with students training and showing off their powers. The virtual assistant Ava appeared and explained they were in the public training room with a capacity of 300 people. The hall was built with C-rank alloy, mixed with memory metal, making it tough enough to withstand damage. Ava also pointed out there were private training rooms, but Sujin Min decided the public area was enough. Guantao got caught up in the competitive vibe, shouting excitedly and pointing at an enhanced werewolf user with A-rank. Sujin Min sarcastically commented that his buddy wasn't exactly low-key either. Then Sujin Min asked Ava about the big, numbered pillars in the center of the room. Ava explained they were fist strength challenge boards with 5 leaderboards, one for each of the 5 user skill levels. She informed them that if they made it into the top 3000 on their respective board, they'd get a 50 credit reward. Guantao eagerly accepted the challenge, thinking it sounded easy. But Eva clarified there were just over 4,000 students at the university. Still hungry for the reward, Guantao decided to give it a shot. Eva told him he had to swipe his student ID to start adding a crucial rule: both skills and combat techniques were banned. Hyped up, Guantao stood in front of the pillar and swiped his ID. The AI. Eva announced his attempt. His activation caught the attention of older students who mocked him for being just a mid-level, first-tier newbie. Feeling the pressure, Guantao was determined not to embarrass himself. With a loud yell, he threw a powerful punch that hit the pillar hard. The result popped up on the screen: a strength of 476 kilograms. Satisfied, Guantao thought he hadn't embarrassed himself, and that making the top 3000 wouldn't be a problem, but his pride was short-lived as he faced a brutal update. His rank was above position 100,000. Guantao was shook, screaming in disbelief and wondering how that was even possible. Since there were only about 4,000 students at the university, Eva coldly clarified that the leaderboard added up scores from all students. Since the university was founded 100 years ago, the brutal truth hit Guantao hard. While the crowd was just waiting to see him fail, the upperclassmen burst out laughing. One even joked about how hilarious it was. As his buddy sank into embarrassment, Jimin offered some comfort, reminding him that as a spiritual element user, raw physical strength wasn't his thing. Grateful, Guantao encouraged him to try, confident he'd be stronger. Sujin Min accepted, confessing he also wanted to test his power. He slid his ID over and Ava announced the challenge. The crowd's attention shifted to him. Though they looked at him with even more disdain, they said he seemed weaker. Just a low-rank first-level rookie, they doubted his punch would even hit 400 kilograms. but one spectator felt Sujin Min's name sounded strangely familiar. Meanwhile, Sujin Min stayed confident, recalling his recent progress. He'd leveled up to a first-level skill user and had trained his body for 5 days and 5 nights to forge his new skill base. A quick check of his system panel confirmed his new stats. Enhanced physique and his first skill, Thunder's indestructible body. He clenched his fist. Eager to see what level his strength had reached, he unleashed a punch with a burst of power, and the impact created a powerful shockwave that rippled through the air. And that's where we're going to stop for today. If you liked it, don't forget to smash that like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Catch you in the next resume.